Splinter Cell was a big hit on the consoles, and now it's been adapted for Nokia's N-Gage in a surprisingly faithful but brief interpretation. Just like the console versions, you play as Sam Fisher. The game story is also the same, though it's told via scrolling text. The object is to find ways through each level without being detected. You can hide in the broom closet or sneak up from behind and deliver an incapacitating blow. Sam can also use his gun to subdue enemies, and there are plenty of locks to pick. The vertical screen can make it hard to see what's coming up, especially when Sam's running, but the sticky camera can help you scope things out. It's fun, but it's also quite short, for a shadowy 3 out of 5. The N-Gage port of Red Faction is far less successful. It's an ugly, muddy mess, even by handheld standards. Even with such low-grade visuals, it still can't even avoid slowing down and stuttering. Hey, Tomb Raider proved that 3D was possible on this system, so what gives? It's mostly a series of brown and gray hallways that all look the same. Prepare to get lost repeatedly. That is, when you're not being assaulted by the same enemies over and over. Yeah, die, Miner. I am thoroughly nonplussed by your witty repartee, sir. Factor in the clunky controls and not too bright auto-lock feature, and you've got yourself a bona fide 1 out of 5.
In the gaming industry, when characters get tired, the developers decide to throw them in an unlikely environment to spice things up. The results have been less than pleasing, giving us games like Mario Basket Weaving, Mega Man Tax Audit, and Final Fantasy Square Dancer. But after years of disappointment, the kids at Nintendo might have gotten one right by giving an interesting twist to an existing lore and sprucing up an almost dead genre. Metroid Prime Pinball may just be worth your precious while. The story revolves around Samus, the greatest female action hero since Ripley. Wait, who am I kidding? There's no story. Our hero decides to be the ball while being flung around a pinball table in every possible direction. But this game isn't only about flippers, bumpers, and ramps. The developers included some familiar characters to add difficulty and take full advantage of the Metroid license. After satisfying certain requirements on the table, you can roll into a special area and transform back into a human. This gives Samus the chance to unleash her fury on a bevy of shriek bats, beetles, and such. And like most pinball games, the longer you keep your ball in play, the more rewards you can receive. Oh sure, you get the usual multi-ball mode, but here they call the balls clones. Clever. You get to take a stab at some mini-games as well, like wall jumping in a rainforest and pest control Metroid style. You can also warp to a battle area to duke it out with a big boss dominating the top screen. The only major problem is the table itself. The game takes advantage of both screens, but there is a huge David Letterman gap between them. So when the ball travels from one screen to the other, it can be a bit disorienting. Not to mention that timing certain moves can be a pain in the ass. Also, you only start out with 2 tables unlocked, and you have to collect numerous artifacts to unlock more. While the replay value of this game is excellent, it can get a little redundant playing the same board over and over. Still, this is the best handheld pinball game on the market to date. The 3D rendered characters mixed with incredible environmental effects will make your jaw drop and your retinas dance. And the included Rumble Pack gives some extra shake to your rattle and roll. So whether you're a Metroid disciple or a hardcore flipper-flapper, this game will pleasantly make the hours of your sad life drift away. We give Metroid Prime Pinball 4 unused Tommy references out of 5.
I'm so happy!
Previously on an X-Play Hockey Review.
Qu'est-ce que c'est?
Canadian guy, you will be avenged. You're Vesuvian.
It's always a gamble to put the sports games on the PSP. But one thing about Wayne Gretzky, he loves to play the odds. And that brings us to the Great One's second attempt to spread his greatness to the PSP, going double or nothing with Gretzky NHL 06. He scores!
I'm Wayne Gretzky. Welcome to Gretzky NHL 06.
Thanks, Wayne. We see you coaching the Coyotes, reassuring the players with a kind word or a hot tip. Doesn't make the game any better. Hockey shouldn't be this difficult. Getting rid of the puck is as frustrating as having the feds show up at your house on Super Bowl Sunday looking for your wife.
Knocked away.
But maybe it'll make X-Play's Conspiracy Theory of the Week that much more intriguing. When the Canadian guy was shot, we found an illegal wiretap amongst his collection of maple syrup collectibles. And the answers may surprise you.
Oui. How may I help thee? It's Janet Jones Gretzky. We have to make this quick. I want 100,000 the Lakers to win. Got me? To win? Oui. 100 on Kobe. Then give me $500,000 on Stacy Keebler winning Dancing with the Stars. 50 grand on Charlie killing Mr. Echo. And 25,000 on Michelle Kwan to win it all. Oui. That last bet is silly. Oui. I know this voice. Are you the Canadian guy from X-Play? No. Place my bets. Click.
Not 2 days later, this happened. Is Wayne involved? So many questions. But one thing Wayne is more involved in is Gretzky NHL 06.
I'm Wayne Gretzky. Welcome to Gretzky NHL 06.
Clearly rising above the mediocrity here is Wayne on Wayne mode, where you get the ability to play with a great one himself, or take the over-under for twice the Gretzkiness.
Looks like it'll be Gretzky times 2.
We expect more out of Wayne, but perhaps these inferior gaming products is a byproduct of some bigger issues at hand for the Great One and his family.
Gretzky didn't get much of anything going on.
I amplified the audio myself on the Who Shot the Canadian Guy footage, and what I heard may surprise, astound, and completely bore you.
Qu'est-ce que c'est?
I'm Wayne Gretzky.
Is it true? Did Wayne Gretzky shoot the Canadian guy? If he did, it's the only good shot Gretzky's taken in years, because we give Gretzky NHL 06 on the PSP 3 assistant coaches illegal bookmaking schemes out of 5. Who shot the Canadian guy? Mystery solved. Maybe.
Do you know what time it is? Tell me, do you know? Do you know what time it is? Tell me, do you know? Do you know what time it is? Tell me, do you know? Do you know what time it is?
How in the hell could you not know what time it is? Let's see, it's NFL football. And after EA's exclusive deal with the NFL, it could only mean one thing. It's Madden NFL 06.
You stole that shit. With no competition, you have no one to compete with.
That's right. This year you can buy any NFL game you want, as long as it's Madden.
If I weren't fat, I'd be not fat.
This monopoly of the virtual gridiron leaves you no choice. Luckily, it isn't a bad one. Madden NFL 06 is not a groundbreaking paradigm shift, but at least EA has tried to inject some life into this winded franchise. New to the series is the QB vision passing. Each quarterback can only pass accurately within the cone. The better the QB, the bigger the cone. Passing to receivers outside the cone is not recommended.
The defender's got it.
It's a love it or hate it feature, and it cannot be turned off while playing online. Madden has also finally instituted precision passing into the mix.
You know you stole that.
Jealousy in your eyes, what it is, boy. Envy in your eyes.
Madden 06 finds even more ways to bring the pain. The hit stick is still in full effect. But now you can lower the shoulder on offense as well, using the truck stick feature. Another big addition is the Superstar mode, where you create a blue chipper by siphoning his parents from the gene pool. Then you take some IQ tests, hire a scumbag of an agent, and get drafted. Once you're on a squad, you navigate the still image of your apartment to keep your career on track.
You stole that too. Stealing is taking something that doesn't belong to you.
Otherwise, this year's game is basically the same. If it ain't broke, don't fix it, we suppose. Especially if you're the only contractor in town. There's a 30-year franchise mode, all the tweaking options you'd expect, plenty of skill-building minigames, and the ability to create players, fans, playbooks, and more.
Boom! We're the only game in town.
We'd love to say Madden NFL 06 is the clear choice for your NFL dollars, but it's the only choice, so it wins by default. Even so, it's still a solid playing game of football, and it could be a lot worse. We give it a 4 out of 5.
It's good.
Dead in the heat of midsummer, we take on one more baseball game review, as Sony manages to wiggle its way around the MLB licensing agreement, with MLB 07, the show.
He's probably using some words back there behind the mound that we can't use in the video game.
This game might look familiar. That's because it already made an appearance on the PlayStation 2. So, what's the more expensive PS3 version have extra? Sadly, not much, as it feels near identical.
Whatever you do, don't rub it!
This is a prettier game than the PS2, to be sure. The players are a little bit shinier and sharper. The crowd looks nice, and the presentation has been spiced up, but not to the point where this looks anything close to next-gen. Presentation aside, if you're looking for good, solid baseball, you'll find it here. Both pitching and batting are intuitive without being overly complicated. It's everything you've come to expect.
Now a ball lined to the right side.
Where it really shines is in the career mode. It has the usual. You'll design your future Hall of Famer, build his stats, but they've been kind enough to trim all the fat from the game.
And a good first pitch.
They cut out all the boring parts of baseball. You'll only play the part that you're actually involved in. The perspective changes when you're running the bases and fielding your position, which gives you some nice variety and replayability. It's really the ultimate fantasy baseball experience.
Fantasy! Fantasy! Fantasy!
Oh, that's Sammy Sosa and Jason Giambi. They're on my fantasy baseball team. Actually, guys, I don't really need you anymore, now that I have the show.
Oh, this is...
While career mode is nice, it's franchise that most gamers are looking at. The game does a decent job. Most of the players are accounted for, even the latest Japanese import, Daisuke.
We'll see if he can possibly live up to the pricey expectations.
And even if it isn't as pretty as 2K7, the player movements look and feel right.
And that ball is out of here!
It's pretty obvious that Sony just took its PS2 game and gave it the next-gen shine, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. But for $60, PS3 owners deserve better or cheaper. It looks like they'll have to wait until next season to get it. MLB 07 the show, that's a 3.
It just falls right off the table.
Out of 5. The next Zelda game is pulling out of the station, and it's worth punching a ticket on Link's latest adventure. Spirit Tracks is the sequel to Zelda's first DS title, Phantom Hourglass. Same look, same controls. Different mode of transportation. This time around, it's locomotion by locomotive. You'll be scouring this pleasantly large and populated world while laying the track down on the evil that's trying to take over Hyrule. Something else that returns from Phantom Hourglass is the concept of a central dungeon that you'll be visiting several times. Now, before you get all steamed up and blow your... I've got some good news. You won't have to replay the same levels, and the timer is gone. In fact, this time around, the central dungeon is a lot of fun. The puzzles are devious, and this is one area where Zelda will be lending you a disembodied hand. You see, Zelda had a run-in with a baddie, and she didn't fare very well. I know you're shocked, but at least this time her spirit made it out all right, and in a series first, you'll get to control Zelda. She'll control the Phantom Knights while you puzzle your way through the Tower of the Spirit. She'll go where Link can't, through fire, across lava, the ladies' room. Besides the main tower, in your usual explore, find a weapon, use that weapon to beat the boss dungeons. This time around, a lot of the adventuring takes place via side quests. There are towns to visit, collectibles to acquire, and tracks to lay. If you choose to. Sorry to say, there are some places where Spirit Tracks goes off the rails. While the stylus controls work great for mapping out train routes or boomerang courses, it can be a frustrating way to navigate through dungeons. The cross-country train trips tend to get a little monotonous after a while, and then there's the multiplayer, which isn't even worth mentioning besides saying there is multiplayer. But who cares? This is a Zelda game, not Modern Warfare 2. Spirit Tracks is jam full of everything you loved about Phantom Hourglass, plus some needed improvements that all go to making this a great handheld adventure. This is all the holiday cheer Zelda fans will need. The Legend of Zelda Spirit Tracks gets 4 out of 5. Can you believe it's been 10 years since the Pokemon phenomenon was introduced to the world? And if there's one underlying premise that we all have learned from this Poke Madness, it's that Pokemon are just like STDs. You gotta catch them all. They might as well create a fire mouse called It Burns When I Pikachu. But with all Jokomon aside, Pokemon Trozei for the Nintendo DS isn't your typical Poke game. You won't be flinging your Pokeballs to capture these adorable ball-dwelling creatures. Instead, you will be playing a puzzle game in which Pokemon drop from the sky. And in order to capture them, you must do what is known as Trozei, which is slipping and sliding Pokeheads trying to line up 4 or more in a row. There are a few notable features to this Poke Puzzler, such as Trozei Chance. After you Trozei 4 or more Pokemon, the screen will momentarily change green and you will be able to Trozei 3 or more, and then 2 or more, until you can't continue to Trozei anymore. Then there's this Pokemon, Ditto, who can be Trozei'd with any Pokemon. Other than that, this is your typical puzzle game with a typical mode, such as Endless, Battle, and Adventure Mode, where you get to play as a poorly drawn girl named Lucy Fleetwood. Her mission is to stop an acrimonious Poke Thief group known as the Phobos Battalion. They've captured a prodigious amount of Pokemon and locked them up in warehouses. So it's up to Lucy to break into the warehouses and re-catch them all, with an occasional boss battle on the side. As you can see, there isn't much to be puzzled by this puzzler. Every mode and level is the same, just with different Pokemon. It borrows too many elements from other puzzle games, and it takes no skill to Trozei. You can basically scribble your stylus and beat a level. Who really wants to squander their time on a challenge-lacking puzzle game just to capture more than 380 Pokemon? You'll probably have a more pleasurable time just trying to catch a new STD. We give Pokemon Trozei a 2 out of 5. Fox McCloud. It's a strong Scottish name for a space fox. Slippy Toad. That's an interesting. It's a step in the amazing adventure that is StarFox Returns. We first experienced this ferocious furry in StarFox. Shooting, flying, you know. Then there was the Pleasure Fest that was StarFox 64. Then there was the Saccharine Lizard Lake that was StarFox Adventures.
Is she okay?
Now we're back to the shooting and stuff. That's StarFox Assault. All good, right? You know when we say all good, right? It's not. Okay, let's start with the basics. Any Star Fox fan worth a poop on their fur came into this puppy for flying around in their R-Wing and shooting stuff. It's all good here.
It's not holding anything back.
This is the pure fun of the originals. Just blast, blast, and blast. There's enemies aplenty, and towards the end, it's sublime stuff.
Fox, do something about this guy behind me.
And now, the end of the fun. See, the R-Wing levels make up less than half the game.
How are things on your end, Slippy?
The rest is made up by such elements as story. It's never been exactly adult, but this time around, it's about as insipid as any anime series with an attended card game. Tricky! And Slippy Toad?
Listen, Dad, we're going and you can't stop us.
Someone needs to rip out his trachea. Far more importantly than the story, the game suffers significantly with the addition of on-foot levels. The controls feel sluggish, and things that a spry fox should be able to pull off, like turning around, are difficult.
I can't stand to see Fox like this.
Okay, I know foxes don't snipe, but it still takes way too long to get in and out of your reticle. But imagine if foxes could snipe.
By George, let's go kill a small furry thing for sport.
Oh, bollocks. The jumping is ridiculous and feels broken. And Fox has just one speed. Too fast.
Whoa, there's a machine shooting out baddies.
Now what has potential in the game is the ability to jump into a Landmaster tank. Notice I said potential because with clunky controls, they found a way to remove the fun. These sequences from the R-Wings wing fare better, but doesn't compare to the good old-fashioned flight action. Oh yeah, and then there's your mission objectives.
Destroy the targets before the gauge gets full.
Understood.
That's a transfer device. Hurry up and destroy it.
I'm going planet-side to take out the radar jammers. I'm gonna have to blow up the generators.
You're going to have to take out the power supply. Fox, you must get bombs inside that thing. We can destroy those hatchers. We might just have a chance.
Okay, Slippy and I will wipe out the transfer gateway at the hideout.
So, what are we left with? 35% of a game that we really like, and the rest just poorly designed and obnoxious. We came for the flying, and we get this crap. It's like waiting to hang out with your best buddy, and he brings along his girlfriend.
Do you think General Pepper's okay?
Rub this bloody carcass on a young boy's face for a 3 out of 5.
Nothing. That sounds like someone I know.
Nintendo's running out of Mario games to resurrect, so it's Samus's turn to get the remake treatment. Metroid Zero Mission is a remake of the original NES Metroid game. According to the introduction, Zero Mission is the real story of Samus's first encounter with the Metroids. The truth is out there, and now the skeleton in the cupboard is coming home to roost. Yeah, think about it. If you remember the original, you'll be right at home here. Much of the layout is the same, but now you have the aid of the helpful conventions of later Metroid games. Samus has abilities she didn't originally, like the power grip and the super speed dash. Save points replace clunky passwords, and Zero Mission actually has a map. That's right, the original Metroid had no map. No directions, no hints, no nothing. We had to make our own maps with graph paper, in the snow, with broken sticks. You kids have it so easy these days. New cutscenes highlight the major story events. The redone graphics make for better scenery and much more exciting boss battles. Kraid has never looked bigger, fatter, or greener. It does feel a bit easy in places, though. I don't remember Ridley being this much of a pushover in 1987. When you get older, your reflexes slow down, even if you are a space pirate. Yeah, you'll whip through Zero Mission pretty fast, but there are a few surprises along the way. The GBA's library is bulging with NES remakes, but that doesn't mean you should leave this one out in the cold. And if you do get that hankering for a hunk of old-school Samus action, the original Metroid is unlocked when you finish Zero Mission. You've come a long way, baby, but you're still a 5 out of 5.
Jason, Friday the 13th. Freddy, A Nightmare on Elm Street. And now Kirby, Canvas Curse. What the hell? How can a game with the word curse in the title look so sugar-coated? It's kind of like how The Silence of the Lambs didn't have one friggin' lamb in it. And the Naked Gun? Well, I don't even know what that means. Kirby is a personable little ball making his way through a magical land not unlike your average Skittles commercial. He moves with all the agility of Lance Armstrong. And he bears a striking resemblance to something Lance Armstrong once had removed. It usually takes a hot Jessica Simpson video to get my pink hero to move. Quick tap of the screen will stun your ferocious as an Ewok enemies. But if you really want to stun them, tell them Scott Peterson is receiving love letters from women on the outside. Kirby channels his inner single white female and can copy the traits of those around him. Wow, he's moving faster than Tom Cruise's courtship of Katie Holmes. And look out, Kirby's now apparently copied a trait of Ron Jeremy. Man, watch where you're swinging that thing. Ugh, you're gonna impale someone. I think that's a Naked Gun right there. Bubblegum enema coming through. And there's a nifty sub-game that can only be described as the bastard child of Connect the Dots and Electronic Simon. Connect the Dots, la 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 la. It's actually quite captivating, but then again, I like to buy copies of In Touch magazine and connect the freckles on Lindsay Lohan. If I had paid attention to the top screen, I'm sure I would have marveled at the crude maps and what appears to be a Pillsbury ad from the 1950s. Kirby Canvas Curse is the first game to truly capitalize on the potential of the stylus. It's like holding the pen of God in your hand, or at least a really nice scripto. The gameplay style is as fun as it is intuitive and graceful, and it makes Yoshi's touch and go look like a little bitch. Bonuses aren't very bonusy, nor are the boss stages very bossy. But the game has a zippy pace and polished charm heretofore only found in a Kelly Ripa vehicle. This is the best use of the DS's stylus to date. Unless you count using it to scratch those places in your ear your car keys just won't reach. We're giving Kirby Canvas Curse a stylish 4 out of 5.
If you own a Wii me, chances are you've played your fair share of games featuring Mario and his band of associates. While some carry a decent reputation for being quality games, Mario Sports Mix is unfortunately not one of those games. Mario Sports Mix takes 4 familiar sports, basketball, volleyball, hockey, and dodgeball, and injects them with that over-the-top flair you'll find in most Mario games. That means flashy super moves, power-ups, and some uniquely designed arenas. You get 2 modes for each sport with gameplay that's fairly straightforward. Use the nunchuck to move around while you shake the Wiimote and press the A or B to perform some moves. The game is easy to learn and fun for a little while, especially when you play with friends, but the gameplay lacks any complexity to engage you for longer than a few short spells. There aren't a variety of moves to execute, and even these don't always register when you shake the Wiimote. The absence of any Motion Plus support also doesn't help the game any either. Party mode might seem like a good diversion from the other modes, but it gets just as repetitive. Don't get us wrong, it's a great looking game that can provide some bouts of fun, but its gameplay is just far too simple to maintain interest for long. Your kids and younger relatives might enjoy it, but if you're looking for something with a little more depth, you might want to look elsewhere. A 2 out of 5.
Okay, I know what you're thinking. I played this all before, right? Well, not so fast. Okay, who am I kidding? You have played this before. But is it worth it? Well, yeah, sort of.
Sonic's going all-star!
While there isn't a whole lot you haven't seen before gameplay-wise, you might as well take a lead from the best if you're charged with making a kart racing game, which isn't entirely a bad thing.
Nice! Amy lands a beauty!
Much like Mario Kart, players can pick from Sega's stable of premier characters to be their own personal Sting.
I'm Sonic the Hedgehog!
All-star abilities for each character are interesting to use, but weapon pickups don't function that much differently from what you see in Mario Kart.
Enjoy!
Controls aren't nearly as tight as Mario Kart Wii, but it does look great on the PS3 or 360. Fortunately, the game offers a wide variety of new characters, tracks, and content to unlock. In the end, Sonic and Sega All-Star Racing may not win points for originality, but it's still a decent alternative, and there's plenty of content to enjoy with your friends and family. Sonic and Sega All-Stars Racing gets a 3 out of 5.
Gotcha!
Wouldn't it be great if we had real robots to play with, Patrick? I'd name mine Robo Jr. or Zorlon or maybe Frankie.
You better be careful what you wish for, SpongeBob. Maybe it's his Napoleon complex.
Is Plankton a genius? Answer yes. Okay, checklist complete. Throw at the switch.
But Plankton here unleashed hordes of robots on Bikini Bottom, and he can't control them.
Breaking news! Bikini Bottom residents have been attacked by a raging torrent of robot horror. We'll keep you posted as this tragic story unfolds. Tragically, we're sure.
In order to stop the raging torrent of robot horror, SpongeBob and his friends will have to collect things. Shiny objects.
It shines!
Golden spatulas. And socks. In the beginning of SpongeBob SquarePants Battle for Bikini Bottom, the game seems like a tedious collecting fest. But as you play, it turns out that acquiring items is a natural element of the game, rather than the purpose of it. It helps that SpongeBob isn't alone in his quest. You can call on the services of your best friend Patrick, a fat starfish who can throw objects and destroy enemies with his belly. Sandy, a squirrel in a spacesuit, can swing with a lasso, karate chop, and hogtie the robot horde. SpongeBob himself is armed with a bubble wand. The gameplay in Battle for Bikini Bottom doesn't stray far from the well-established conventions of the 3D platformer, yet it manages to avoid many of the common traps. There aren't a lot of meaningless tasks, tricky jumps, or cheap hits. While it can be challenging, it's rarely frustrating. There are no such things as lives, so when you run out of clean underwear, you are simply returned to the last checkpoint. If you wander out of bounds, you get a little help back on track. The game is out to have a good time, with a surreal edge that's appropriate for kids while still entertaining for adults. Cannons throw kitchen sinks, Robots use mallets made of ham hocks. And SpongeBob bungees in his underwear. Is that sponge butt crack?
Yeah, thanks for noticing. I have been working out.
This is a good game for SpongeBob lovers of all ages. But if you're not into the cartoon, you should leave this one on the shelf. X-Play gives SpongeBob SquarePants Battle for Bikini Bottom a 3 out of 5.
Wow! Gary, did you do that?
THQ and Nickelodeon have teamed up to release another video game morphed from a successful cartoon. Fairly OddParents Breaking the Rules.
I wish we wouldn't have to follow those stupid rules.
Yeah, so I know we all wish we could just say screw authority and throw away the rules.
Hey, Morgan, I need you to wear this hat tonight in our St. Patrick's Day special.
You know what, Vance? I graduated from Berkeley, and I think I deserve a little bit more respect. You can take this hat and this sorry excuse for a script, and you can shove it where the sun don't shine.
Morgan!
But when little Timmy wishes he doesn't have to follow the rules, things get a little wacky.
Why are we being attacked by monkeys? Because video games are wild!
Timmy's babysitter, Vicky, somehow unknowingly gains the power to make whatever she wishes for come true. Timmy must then collect all of the pages of the rules with the help of his whacked-out fairy godparents Cosmo and Wanda.
I guess green aliens can hear me.
So the plot is a little out there. But come on, it's a video game made out of a cartoon. What did you expect?
Lava in a video game? Huh, what'll they think of next?
The game itself is by all accounts a traditional 3D platformer. But what separates it from the pack is its creativity, excellent production design, and variety of gameplay types. One of the levels has you playing a Tron-inspired video game within the game. Talk about postmodern. While another puts you in the comic book world of the Crimson Chin.
Do not resist, boy, Chin Wonder.
Crowns are the coins of the Fairly OddParents realm. 100 will give you an extra life.
Like in video games when you get a 1-up?
Collect 5 wish stars and you receive a wish, which essentially means you can move on to the next part of the level. And Crimson Chin cards unlock video clips from the series.
A colorful square of cardboard! Yippee!
The visuals of Fairly OddParents Breaking the Rules help set the game apart. The graphics do an excellent job of replicating the look of the cartoon. And look, their mouths actually move when they speak.
We certainly won't be having any fun this weekend.
While Fairly OddParents Breaking the Rules never really presents a challenge for the seasoned gamer,
we've got this game licked! And we haven't used any cheats.
The game's sense of humor and creativity will draw you into its distinct world.
Cyber bees!
X-Play gives it a 3 out of 5.
I'm betting this isn't good news. I'm betting this is really great news. But I'm not betting much.
Hey, just out of curiosity, do you know who lives in a pineapple under the sea? Well, I call him an excuse to license an unimaginative game, but you probably know him as SpongeBob SquarePants.
Well, squeeze my sides and call me Captain Findo.
To start, this game is about as confusing as the premise, a talking sponge in short pants.
Yeah, this car's awesome!
Available for the Wii, Creature from the Krusty Krab is part driver, part action, part 2D platformer, part 3D platformer, but mostly terrible. For instance, as far as the driving goes, this title plays like Excite Truck, but unlike Excite Truck, this game sucks. Like, oh, I don't know, a sponge.
It's moist and slimy. I absorb moist sliminess.
Fortunately, the 3D platforming elements are much better, and the Wii gestures allow your character to do ground slams, hop around, move stuff from place to place, and engage in a little fisticuffs. The 2D platforming elements are even less fleshed out. They involve Plankton enlarging a hamburger and then getting chased by it. I'm serious. He gets chased by a giant hamburger for an extended period of time. My name is Adam, and stupid adversaries are my anti-drug. The Wii isn't known for being a graphics powerhouse, but the presentation is still lacking.
Someone needs to hire a housekeeper.
The dialogue gets repetitive, and gamers will have to endure Bobby trying out a variety of different monikers.
Speed King SquarePants. SpongeBob Demolitions Expert Pants. SpongeBob Spare Parts. Bap.
All in all, this is not a good game, There are a few interesting elements, but it's best suited for die-hard SpongeBob fans. And even they will probably have more fun watching reruns on Nick Jr. And that's why SpongeBob SquarePants, Creature from the Krusty Krab, gets 2 giant hamburger chase sequences.
No patty will defeat the mighty mind of Plankton.
Out of 5.
If you're looking for a way to relive your childhood, you're in luck. Because they've gone and consolidated it on one little disc with Sonic's Ultimate Genesis Collection. It's all the fun of being a kid, but now you don't have to live with your parents. Hopefully. It's an excellent emulation of dozens of great Genesis-era games. The collection includes 40 Sega Genesis titles and 9 Sega Master System and arcade games, which should be plenty to keep you busy. But it's not all warm and fuzzy memories. Some of these games were pretty tough. You'll get a crack at Dynamite Headdy, Streets of Rage, and of course, the original Sonic. You'll also catch up with familiar friends like Sonic and Knuckles, Echo the Dolphin, and Dr. Robotnik. And best of all, you'll get all 4 of the Phantasy Star titles. And it's all the more fun now that you don't have to share your toys with anyone. You hear that, Mom? No one. But it's a solid lineup of games that you're sure to enjoy a second time around. Of course, they can't all be winners. We certainly could have done without the likes of Alex Kidd and Flicky, especially when they couldn't even make room for a little Revenge of Shinobi. And they definitely increased the ultimate quotient by upgrading all the games to high def. There's even an optional smoothing filter if you're so bold. The support is good, although the widescreen option doesn't work for all the games. But all things considered, it looks good, and it's hard to argue with these old 2D graphics. And if that's not enough for you, there are plenty of goodies to sweeten the deal. One nice bonus is that you can save at any point during any game. There are also a few good extras to unlock. So, for $30, you get a ton of games and the chance to feel young again. And that's well worth the price. Sonic's Ultimate Genesis Collection gets a 4 out of 5. I once told myself that I wanted to be the very best, the best there ever was. To catch them all was my real test. To train them was my cause. Finally, the Pokemaniacs around the world can rejoice. After 2 years, a real Pokemon game surfaces and brings new luster to the DS with Pokemon Diamond and Pearl. And who better to explain about diamonds and pearls than the artist himself?
Diamonds and pearls.
Okay. In this 4th generation of Pokemon games, you'll start in a new world called Sinnoh, which introduces more than 100 new types of Pokemon, making that a total of 493 cute creatures to capture and collect. So what's new in Pokemon Diamond and Pearl?
You can be a boy or a girl.
That's not new, and I don't think he's decided yet. To tell you the truth, the plot is the same as previous Pokemon pastimes. You'll have the option to be a boy or a girl, and then you'll meet a rival and a professor who wants you both to fill out an electronic Pokemon dictionary called the Pokédex. To aid you in filling out the Pokédex, you'll be given the option of picking out a starter Pokemon that's a grass type, fire type, or water type. I choose you, Fire Monkey. You're my new best friend. After picking a cute critter companion, you're off to embark on a journey of manhood/womanhood by leaving your village and entering a world where everything revolves around the catching, raising, breeding, and fighting of Pokemon. Think of it as a family-friendly version of cockfighting. Generally, it's pretty much the same feeling you had when playing Pokemon Red and Blue back in 1999. As much as this man enjoys touching himself, the touchscreen doesn't play a big role in battling. Instead, it's mainly used for minigames and Poke management. You can now dress them, bake for them, or listen to the repetitive odd noises that Pokemon make. Oh! So that's what it sounds like when doves cry. Although there's very little touchscreen functionality, the game takes full advantage of the DS's Wi-Fi capabilities. Gone are the days of tracking down a friend with the link cable just to trade and battle. Trading and battling can be done with ease via wireless or over the internet. Overall, these Pokemon games are the best yet and will most likely cement Nintendo's domination in the handheld market. The only drawback is the all-too-familiar storyline that we've seen in the past 3 generations. But all in all, it's still a kick-ass Pokemon game, especially in multiplayer. Pokemon Diamond and Pearl gets a 4 out of 5. If you've never played The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time, then something has gone horribly wrong in your gaming life. It is time to fix that mistake with Ocarina of Time 3D for the Nintendo 3DS. I know what you're thinking. Sure, Ocarina is a great game, but I already played it years ago. Wrong. Ocarina 3D has been upgraded in every possible way. Sadly, Navi is still as annoying as ever. The environments are bursting with detail. Every chicken feels vibrantly alive. Even with the 3D turned off, the graphics are impressive. While the N64 version was pushing the system to its limit, Ocarina 3D feels like the game they wanted to make all along. There are tweaks and improvements around every corner. The ability to equip the iron boots on the fly finally makes the water temple tolerable. The only real gripe is that the motion tracking assisted aim is more of a hindrance than any real help. And while the 3D is truly gorgeous, it's not for everyone. Zelda is an epic game, and putting in long hours with the 3D enabled can cause eye strain depending on the gamer. In addition to the original game, Ocarina 3D also packs in the Master Quest and a boss challenge mode that allows you to relive your old conquests. It's amazing that after all these years, Ocarina still holds up as a masterfully designed game packed to bursting with creative idea after creative idea. Finally, there's a reason to own a 3DS, and it's called The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time 3D, a 5 out of 5.
And that's pretty much the best scene of Splinter Cell Chaos Theory for the DS. And you know something? It wasn't even that good a scene. We didn't even want to cover this game, but we did. Well, because, sadly, that's what we do here. It's in our contract. Go! It's a DS game, so let's discuss screens. The top screen has Sam going through his fisherness. You know by now, the walking around, the killing, the door opening, the killing, and of course, the crouching, and the crouching. Here's the bottom screen. We'll get back to the bottom screen in a moment. Too much negativity isn't healthy for any of us. Andy Dick taught us that.
Hey, you!
So let's focus on something positive here. My grandmother always said, before we sold her to a Thailand sex slave ring back in '98, if you have nothing good to say, don't say anything at all. Here's the good. It's Chaos Theory. Pretty much the same storyline we've seen before. He's deader than Elvis.
Don't bring me into this one, baby.
The weapons are the same. That's always, something. It just looks so cheap. How cheap? Well, cheaper than this, if you get my meaning. I don't want to whine about the play of the game, but all right, twist my arm. I mean, you're playing along with the game, then all of a sudden, freeze! And wait, and go.
What a hunka burning crab, baby.
Let's check in on the second screen for some more high-octane action. The problem is that the bottom screen is just so captivating that you stare at it wondering what it's for, what is its purpose, and you don't pay attention, and then... You're as dead as John Goodman in 2 years. Maybe. Just a hunch. What more needs to be said? I mean, you see what I see, don't you? Do I really have to say it? Splinter Cell Chaos Theory for the DS gets an overly generous 1 out of 5. Stay away. Stay far, far away.
It's so far.
It's the world, dear. Did you expect it to be small?
Smaller.
When the game version of the Chronicles of Narnia, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe landed on our desk, we were feeling charitable. But as C.S. Lewis once said, everyone feels benevolent if nothing happens to be annoying him at the moment.
It's just a joke.
As the holiday season rears its ugly head once more, we are now looking down the barrel of a gun. A gun filled with games based on children's literature. And just for the record, that fat bastard never gave me a sword for Christmas. And believe me, I asked.
These are tools, no toys.
Narnia starts its adventure sometime during a Nazi bombing run on London. Wide-eyed British youth stares longingly out the window, dreaming of a better life. Or maybe he just has a death wish.
What do you think you're doing? Peter, quickly, the shelter!
Either way, one thing is for sure. Peter is a mean drunk.
What are you looking at, bookshelf, huh? You want some? You get in the kitchen!
Peter, no! Not in front of Lucy!
Shut the fuck up!
All the children have their own personal demons to battle.
You think you're dumb, but you're not!
Susan is good at throwing things and playing the pan flute. Lucy is small and the youngest, so of course everyone hates her. And Edmund has apparently just discovered self-gratification with trees and lamps and whatever this is. The gameplay can be summed up rather well in our first encounter with frustration. You'll meet a kind beaver that helps you by gnawing through trees. Why you just can't cut down the trees with your sword? I don't know, so don't ask. Anyway, while the friendly marsupial chews away, you'll have to take Susan to the cave where the wolves are trying to escape and have her shoot them. Then you'll have to run over and save the beaver who's been kidnapped. After that, you'll run over here, where you'll have to shoot some goblin things from pushing over a boulder. But wait, now you have to go back over and kill more wolves, but not before you save the rodent from his captors again. And then, once more to the goblins pushing at the boulder, then maybe, just maybe, you can go on to the next level. If that sounds like fun to you, by all means, buy this game today.
It's just a joke.
Because it's full of bizarre puzzle battle sequences, like this ogre battle. Or the one where the children cause a frozen waterfall to collapse on them. Now, don't get me wrong, the game may be slightly irritating, but at least the gameplay doesn't cheat you. It does exactly what it should, and after a few failures, you'll be able to figure out how to defeat the level. And visually, the game looks amazing. I failed this rafting sequence just because I couldn't help staring at the water effects. Water. However, the short game length, constant button mashing, and uncontrollable camera are all major flaws. I mean, geez, I feel like Grover. Near, far, near far. Overall, it's just a game about children killing wildlife, setting forest fires, and humping trees. We benevolently reward the Chronicles of Narnia, the Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe with a 3 out of 5.
It's just a joke.
Every once in a while, a Japanese import game comes along that is so weird, we can only assume drugs were involved in its creation. There is no other explanation for Katamari Damacy and its colorful explosion of bad music, rainbows, singing ducks, and what the hell is that panda doing? Katamari Damacy also happens to be one of the most simple and addictively fun games to hit the PS2 in years. The premise is simple. You are a prince. Your father is the rather fabulous yet existential king of the cosmos. One night, he gets wasted and accidentally knocks all the stars out of the sky.
This just in. The stars have suddenly vanished from the sky.
Ever the cosmic deadbeat, your drunky dandy dad tasks you to repair the night sky by collecting junk on a special gravity ball to create new stars. And so begins the prince's quest to roll up everything in sight. Did I mention you can pick up people? Oh, and in case you still doubted that this game was designed by someone 3 tabs away from an overdose, watch this cutscene.
Oh, I feel it. I feel the cosmos.
Hello, she's tripping and going into a K-hole simultaneously.
So yummy.
Impressive is the game's ever-changing sense of scale. As the ball grows, the camera seamlessly pulls out, and you'll be able to pick up larger objects. Sure, the visuals are simplistic, but the technical limitations lend the game a distinct, Lego-like aesthetic. and synced with the all-suffusing strangeness is a wonderful soundtrack as varied as the crap you'll be picking up. You have to admire the Japanese. When they want to do weird, they don't hold back. Katamari Damacy is interactive happiness. Charming, exuberant, shameless, and it doesn't make a damn bit of sense. We only wish it were longer. We give it a 4 out of 5. The NBA, it has something for everybody. The royalty of kings.
Dang, you gotta fight harder than that.
The red glare of rockets. And whatever the hell a clipper is. With NBA 06, you get all of the teams from the NBA, all the players, yet, sadly, none of the fun. I'm not gonna lie to you, NBA 06 pales in comparison to that other basketball game out there, NBA 2K6. This one is inferior in every way. So right from the tip-off, if you want the best b-ball game out there, this one isn't it. The players look average, and not clipper average, but physically average. Running the court here takes on a clunky feeling.
Me!
And without play-by-play, it just feels flat. But, and unlike Shaq, this is a small but, the controls are easier to figure out with NBA 06. And it does have a running storyline option called The Life, which follows the career of an up-and-coming player trying to make his name in the NBA.
It's gonna be difficult. It's gonna be hard.
It's in The Life where you can play such exciting things as drills or practice. That won't appeal to Allen Iverson. We know how he feels about practice. But if you've ever wanted to participate in an autograph session...
Hey, Deb, can I have your autograph, please?
The Life is for you.
Thank you.
I'll bet Wilt Chamberlain never had that problem.
I met Wilt Chamberlain once at an orgy.
Allegedly. Now here's something that should really piss Shaq off. It's our tribute to Kobe's 81 points.
The only thing Kobe Bryant is guilty of is...
Allegedly. What more can we say? NBA 06 tries to be Showtime, but like the Miami Heat's playoff chances, it's just a little bit out of reach. Yeah, I said it, Shaq. Deal with it. NBA 06 gets 3 Kobe Bryant ball hoggings out of 5. There are some things you expect in a Legend of Zelda game. You gotta have sword play aplenty. Puzzle solving is a must. And a Link game without throwing a few chickens isn't a Link game I want to play. Touting all that, plus a piratical plotline, we're pleased to welcome The Legend of Zelda Phantom Hourglass into the canon. Phantom Hourglass is the direct sequel to Wind Waker. Here's the story so far, cobbled together from what I can remember of that game in these handy cutouts. After going through all the trouble of rescuing Tetra/Princess Zelda from Ganondorf, what does she do the minute you're back on the boat together? Oh, come on, I just saved your entitled princess butt. Ugh, I guess I'll try and rescue her. Again. You have Link's usual arsenal to help you. You got your sword, your boomerang, and your bombs. What's changed, though, is how you deploy all of these. Gone are the days of the directional pad and A, B, X, Y buttons. Using your thumbs is so 1998. The stylus will take care of every action in the game, from running and fighting to messing with the local poultry. Since you're in the same world as Wind Waker, you still have that enormous ocean to contend with. The good news is that the advent of steam power in the Kingdom of Hyrule now allows you to choose the route around the islands. Thanks, Robert Fulton. You'll keep track of your progress on the top screen, which holds your map most of the time. In an inspired bit of design, though, you can pull the map down to the bottom screen and write on it, helping you remember patterns or clues to solving puzzles. In fact, with so much that's right about this game, we were shocked with one major problem. There's a temple you have to return to multiple times in the game, each time delving to a deeper level. But instead of letting you skip the parts you've already cleared, you have to run them again, with all the enemies on a timer. It's really the only blemish, but it's a major one. From the story to the action to the user interface, this is our favorite new Link game since, well, the last one, Twilight Princess, in case you've forgotten. The Legend of Zelda Phantom Hourglass gets 4 angry chickens out of 5.
Once upon a time, there were 2 DS screens, the top screen and the bottom screen. One day, the top screen and bottom screen went on a huge adventure, and they called the adventure Polarium. What's Polarium? The top screen asked the bottom screen. The bottom screen replied, Polarium is a puzzle game. A puzzle game? That sounds lame. Not really. Polarium is actually 2 games in 1. In challenge mode, the object is to change blocks from white to black, or if you're Michael Jackson, black to white. Wow, can I play? The top screen asked. Oh no, the bottom screen replied. I do all the work. You just throw the blocks down to me and I'll take care of the rest. Ah, gee whiz, that's not fair. Why can't I play? Why don't you just shut the up and keep track of the scoring? Bottom screen answered. What about the second game? The top screen shot back. Nice comeback. The bottom screen responded. The second game is simply a puzzle mode. Goodness, that sounds average, and you're once again, since I'm the bottom, I get most of the action. Aw, that's not right. And it's not right that I have 2 ex-wives to support. But you can prove you're not a by showing examples of puzzles I have to solve. Thanks for nothing, You can make a dog or even a ducky, and I'll try to match it, you worthless. So tell me, bottom screen, why would anyone play Polarium? The same reason Dad loves to beat up whores. It's just something to do. We give Polarium 3 out of 5.
That was some compelling television. I think my brain died briefly during the review.
It's really creepy when you talk to yourself like that.
Talk to myself like what? The way you were talking a Polarium review? Why, no, you didn't ask that. Then why don't you just shut the hell up now? I don't know. And I'm...
Okay, so clearly Polarium isn't the next Tetris, and clearly Adam is crazy.
I'm not crazy. Yes, you are. I'm not crazy. Yes, you are.
Okay.
You smell. I don't.
Commercial now. Thanks.